Katie, this is Anna. I thought it might be kind of useful for me to send over a quick little video that's kind of like a free analysis of the Ann Arbor moving niche and give you a couple of free tools that you can use to kind of evaluate things. And if you wanted to pass this along to anyone who's a little curious about somewhat of what I do, then you could use this as well. So I just went over to Google and I did a really quick search for Ann Arbor moving companies. And typically what you see on Google is ads at the top. There's 3 or 4 typically. And then there are the Google Maps. And right now they're only listing 3 businesses. They used to list more, but it's now 3. And then you have what's called the Google Organic search here. And that is basically websites that Google deems as relevant for the search words that we used. Really important things to know about Google are that consumers tend to click the map listings and the organic listings with preference over the paid ads. Okay, so even if there is an ad, a lot of people will come down and click on the maps or the organics anyway. So if you look here, Men on the Move comes up first in the organics, and then you guys are a couple listings down, and I just kind of checked out your website and opened it up over here. So because Corrigan's a franchise, there's some limitations to the data analysis that I'm going to go over with today, but just looking at the website, you know, it's pretty clean, pretty easy to read. There's some content and some maps and images, which is always helpful for consumers, and then links, of course, to other areas that you service. Generally, when I design web pages that are optimized for Google searches, I recommend a minimum of 1,000 words. And then, of course, there's a whole process that I do to research what the target keywords should be for the area. So if there were an interest in getting more traffic going, that's something that could be done to this page very easily. Going back to the Google search, I wanted to open up the maps because on top of the Google Organics, the maps are really popular with people, especially if they're using their phones, which happens a lot these days when people are searching for things. So I just expanded. I ended up clicking on this, the more places, and just opened it in a new tab. And you can see a lot of your competitors: Bellhop's, Handle with Care, Easy Moving, All Directions, and then Corrigan. You guys do show up here. And if we just look at, I'm going to look at a couple of these companies. Bellhops has 16 photos, and they also have a fair number of reviews on Google, which is good to see. Handle with Care, only 11 photos. And let's come down to you guys and see what you have. Okay, 3 photos. So generally, for a Google My Business page or a GMB page, I recommend a minimum of 30 photos. It sounds like a lot, but Google loves content, just like with your website and wanting text and content on there to help make it more relevant for search terms. The same is true for your Google business page. So in addition to photos, I typically recommend a minimum of 500 words on the About section for this in terms of what services you provide. And both of those things will help you or your company rank better here in this map 3-pack and will help you get more customers. So one of the tools that free tools, I never get the paid version of this because it's just sort of an overview, is called Majestic. And I went ahead and grabbed the Men on the Move website, which is a2movers.com, and I plugged them into Majestic, and it shows something called a trust flow and a citation flow, and then those are rankings that Majestic comes up with, numbers they come up with. And then there's this detailed information here about how many domains are referring to them and how many external backlinks they have. Now, Google looks at these things to see if a company is relevant and sort of potent, if you will. So the more external backlinks and the more domains you have referring to your website makes you more relevant in Google's eyes. You've been around longer, perhaps. You've got more people talking about you, which, again, in Google's eyes is very important. So this also goes back and talks a little bit about those backlinks and the anchor text. Anchor text is simply a word that's linked to another page. For instance, right here where my mouse is, I'm FAQ. If I were to click on that, that would take me to another page. The anchor text there is the letters FAQ, and this whole thing is called a backlink. So it's linking me to another page. So you can kind of look and do an analysis of, what kinds of words. Anchor text and things like that are backlinked can also be optimized to help make your website more authoritative for search terms. So that's just another thing. And I went ahead and put in Corrigan, and I'm not at all surprised to see that your trust flow and citation flow are high because you are part of a franchise. And this is typically what you see with franchises. They don't have referring domains and external backlinks specific because the website that I entered was the Corrigan Moving, locations Ann Arbor. Okay, so this is very typical of what you would see with a franchise, and then it doesn't kind of list that information. So I thought I'd show you that you do have a more authoritative position in regards to Majestic's rating. But again, there's just not the specific information with this freebie tool. One other tool I like to use is called Alexa, and I went ahead and used the same websites, the A2 Movers. And not every company has a global rank, but they have one. And the closer to one, the better your global rank is, just to explain that. But what I really like to use this tool for is to look at the top keywords that are used to find this moving company. What I see here is 56% are men on the move, and then about 15% is movers. Then we have moving company, office movers Ann Arbor, and then movers Ann Arbor. So these are the kind of terms that people are using to find this company. When I see men on the move, that's very indicative of people who are familiar with their brand and used to perhaps have used their service before. They are not new customers, but the rest of these keyword searches are very general and would probably indicate, someone not looking for a specific brand. So you can use this as ideas for optimizing the content on your Google business page or on your .com. I went ahead and plugged Corrigan in, and again, you have a global rank. You also have a rank in the US. And there's a little bit more information actually on the website in terms of the bounce rate, the daily page views, and the time on the site compared to the A2 Movers. They didn't even list a bounce rate for them. But in general, the page views and the time on the site are really similar between your site and theirs. What's really interesting here is that the first keyword search that comes up is best way to pack books. So I'm wondering if somewhere in your franchise you have a post about this somewhere on a tips, and maybe a lot of people have used that. Then of course we see the brand recognition terms, which are Corrigan and Corrigan International. And then again, how to pack books for moving comes up, which is just interesting. And then packing dishes. So a lot of things like there that are related to moving tips. So again, these are just some freebie tools that you could look at. When I see this, I definitely see room for improvement in terms of search terms that could be used to find your company. So that's just a quick overview and sort of a free analysis of some tools you can use. The last thing I wanted to mention is related to Google Maps. So with your Google business page, the name, address, and phone number that's listed, we like to refer to that as NAP, name, address, phone number. And that is basically something that you can duplicate all over the web by listing in things like Yellow Pages and Yelp and a Bing business page. The more place your name, address, and phone number are listed, the more relevant you look in Google's eyes. And those are called citations. So the more citations you have on the web, the more relevance you're going to have. So another option that would also improve your rankings for the Google business page would be to increase your number of citations. So I hope this was at least kind of interesting and a useful overview. And I'm going to shoot this over to you in an email, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks.